Welcome to Robin's Nest. My name is Richard Kuhns, a concerned citizen from Middletown, New Jersey, and this is Robin. Hello, Robin.
Hi. Hey, and I'm from Western Mass, also a concerned citizen. I'm concerned for the state of our democracy, and that's why we're here. That's why we're here talking.
You know, the hot topic, I think it's the hottest topic probably for several hundred years is COVID-19. So let's jump right into it. I remember way back in February, I believe it was, when Trump declared on national television that COVID-19 was a Democratic hoax. I also remember him saying that the people he hears from the people he talks to, you know, that must be Melania and Eric and, you know, those must be the people he talks to, that it's no more a problem than the general flu. That, you know, we have several thousand, maybe 20, 30,000 people die every year from the flu, so it's not much worse than the flu. So I remember those exact statements he made on national television months and months ago. You remember those?
I do, and they started warning him January 3rd. Actually, January 3rd, American spy agencies started sending warnings in the president's daily briefing, which, you know, he rarely reads because he doesn't read. But but the thing is that they actually briefed him in person, and he realized how serious it was. And recently, an audio...
How serious? How serious is it? The recordings. What did he leak out in those recordings?
He said, this is deadly serious. This is the worst thing that could ever happen. And I'm going to play it down because we don't want to panic anybody, is what... allegedly. Well, he didn't say that in the recordings, but he said afterwards, the reason I wanted to play it down was so that we wouldn't panic anybody. So he just lied. He said, on January 24th, he said, it will all work out well. We have it very well under control. We have very little problem in this country. He claimed to have shut down all, you know, entrance from China, which is actually a lie, and Pence also said the same lie last night because he didn't shut down everything. You mean in the debate?
In the debate.
In the debate,
well,
Pence also...
Yeah, actually Pence was blaming the Democrats for last night for wanting to keep the air travel, and Pence said that Trump had actually shut down flights from China. On January 31st, the president did bar any non-U.S. citizens from China from coming into the United States. But there were plenty of people who could come in to the United States from China. And but then he's saying that the Democrats were against that. And look at this. If Trump kept it a secret and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and the Democrats had no idea what Trump knew, how dangerous this disease was, how can they possibly blame the Democrats for saying, let's keep the flights going? Trump was in the position, and he did nothing. And he didn't want to panic. I mean, do you remember going to the grocery store trying to find toilet paper? What was that?
Or paper
what was
towels.
That? Paper towel.
Or ammonia.
or ammonia, or hand sanitizer. I mean, or mask. I mean, he downplayed it because there were no masks, there were no face shields, because he had shut down part of the government that was in charge of making sure we had equipment like that.
The Obama administration had written a playbook for pandemics. I think it was something like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was 65 pages or something like that. The Trump administration threw it out. never looked at it, had no plan in place for when the pandemic hit. And the stockpiles, they didn't take care of the stuff that had been stockpiled. Most of it had to be thrown out. And then he hired his son to produce PPE stuff, and it was a scam. Nothing got produced. I don't know where the money went. I mean, that's...
Well, that is totally amazing. Now, what Trump is trying to do is he's trying to do a what do you call it, a catapult here. He's saying, well, they expected 2 million deaths in the United States, and we only got 208,000. So we did pretty darn good, didn't we? That's his modus operandi, rather than, oh yeah, I blew it. We didn't have masks, so we didn't want to tell people that they should wear masks because, boy, that would be a real problem. And we didn't want to mention face shields. Well, that would really be a problem, particularly in the health industry and hospitals. So we downplayed it because we were not prepared.
Well, and he also politicized the wearing of masks. I mean, people even today refuse to wear masks because
he doesn't.
Because he doesn't. And yeah, and that brings us to the fact that last Thursday he came down with COVID-19. So here's something very interesting. You know, he had this big thing at the Rose Garden for the new nominee for the Supreme Court, and no one wore masks, no one was social distancing, everyone was hugging, shaking hands, shoulder to shoulder, and at that point, what was her name who got sick first? She was already sick and didn't tell anybody, and Thursday morning, so people started getting sick. Thursday morning, he did a rapid COVID test, and it was positive. And the president hid the results and didn't tell anyone, went and spoke to 200 people in New Jersey, had symptoms, and then that night he got the results from another COVID test, and at 1 in the morning Friday, he announced that he had COVID. Now, his doctor lied through his teeth, said there's no worry. You know, it turns out Trump needed oxygen. He was gasping for breath. He went to the hospital, and they gave him a psychotropic steroid, which affects your thinking and decision-making, but makes you feel great. They gave him remdesivir, and they gave him an experimental drug that they got compassionate approval for, remdesivir. I can't pronounce these right, but those are drugs that are only given to people who are severely ill and ready to go on a ventilator, and they've never been given in that combination. When he came home from the hospital against all of the doctor's orders, you know, he walked. He had to stop 3 times to catch his breath from I don't remember, the helicopter to the White House. And then when he got up to the balcony, there's actually a video of him gasping for breath because he could not catch his breath. And he ripped his mask off, and there's a whole room full of people waiting for him while he's contagious. And before he went home, he did a little drive-by of his supporters in a car filled with Secret Service agents while he was super contagious. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. And in the hospital, he did these video tweets, and he said, you know, COVID has really taken me to school. I've learned things that I never would have learned otherwise. I get it. And the first thing he said when he went back to the White House was, don't be scared of COVID. It's nothing more than a flu. course, he could barely catch his breath, and he couldn't breathe, and he's still contagious. Today, which is Thursday, his doctor at the White House said, well, of course, we don't know what to believe because that particular doctor has lied consistently, but he said, oh, he hasn't had a fever for 4 days, and his symptoms are almost normal for the past 24 hours. This is the doctor who said for the past 4 days, he's fine, he's fine, he's fine.
And now
wait,
it's 24 hours.
Right. And then they said, reporters said, but what about his oxygen level? And, and you know, if your oxygen level gets below 94, it's bad. If it goes much lower, it's terrifying. And so the doctor's reply was, well, it never went down to the low 80s. His oxygen level. That's like saying, yeah, we didn't have to measure the coffin yet. It's like below 80s. That's horrifying.
Well, you know what is really frightening? What is really frightening is that they're trying to get some record of when the tests were given to him and when he tested positive, because there's even speculation that he was infected when he had the debate with Biden.
Well, I'm sure he was, because I think that the earliest he got infected was on the Saturday before. I mean, or the latest that he got infected. He might have been infected
and that
before
if he knew he was infected, that it was perhaps an attempt to infect Biden.
Right, that could be, but I mean, it should. That's illegal.
That's how uncaring, unempathetic this man is.
Right.
No compassion, no empathy.
I mean, he says, oh, don't be afraid, it's nothing but the flu. What about the 210,000 families that have lost loved ones?
Well, what he is saying, Robin, is he's saying, don't worry, it's not that big a deal. I mean, I have a penthouse at Walter Reed for you, and you can go there. You can have my personal physician. You can get these tests, these drugs that nobody else has access except me, because I'm the president and I have some special need. And you get this great treatment like I had, and it's nothing to be afraid of. But that's not like saying, you know, how are these people treated? I mean, you went through COVID-19. Did you get hospitalized right away? No, you were at home. Most people.
They didn't even have the tests when I got it. I couldn't get tested. There were no tests.
But the thing is that they don't admit you, do they? As soon as if you get tested, they don't admit you. They tell you to go home, to quarantine yourself, and when you're almost dead and you can't breathe, then call for an ambulance.
Right, I know.
And he was taken right away, so it's nothing to be afraid of.
He couldn't breathe. He was already, that's the reason. So nobody gets that bad on the second day. Nobody gets that bad on the second day. And so that's why the doctors are saying he had to have had this for at least a week to be where he is now in the hospital.
Right.
Right.
So here we are. This is like Watergate. This is like Bridgegate. This is Trumpgate. He hid the facts.
Right, and we have to start. We're running out of time here. I just want to say, you know, Trump was like, I mean, his son wanted to do an intervention because he's been like crazier than normal, and he wants to go back on the campaign trail. The debate commission said that they would have the next debate virtually, and he said, I will not waste my time with a virtual event. And Biden refuses to do anything in person. I mean, you know, they did move the date, but if it's not virtual, it's not going to happen.
A virtual event means that he won't have control of the microphone and he'll get shut off. He won't be able to overtalk and won't be able to bully and won't be able to interrupt and be his asinine self. That's what his problem is.
He won't experience the adoration of his fans, and he needs that like oxygen. So, and he
True.
needs oxygen a lot right now.
Yeah.
So,
So,
all right, we need to.
do we have any more? Do we have any more time, or are we done here?
We're done. We ran out of time.
We're done. Okay.
So,
thank you, Robin. And we hope that we've enlightened you to vote for health.
Vote for health. Biden.
Biden.